Dragon Army Productions presents Dragon Talk with Dracky the Little Dragon.
Why, hello again, everybody. This is Dracula Little Dragon coming to you yet with another Dragon Talk. We're talking about anything, everything, whether I want to talk about it or not, because if I don't talk about it, then who will? Today on Dragon Talk, going to be talking about, yes, I know I've already went over audiobooks multiple times in multiple videos, but this time is special. Okay, so I originally read this back when I was in high school. I can't remember which year. But it was in Noble, Illinois, and it's a series written by Garth Nix, one of my favorite, probably my favorite writer of all time, next to Tolkien and what's her name? The chick who did Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. That's right. Can't can't believe I forgot her name for a minute. Anyways, the first book is called Sabriel, spelled S-A-B as in Bravo, R-I-E-L. And it's a fantasy novel written by Garth Nix and first published in 1995. It is the first in its Old Kingdom series, followed by Lyriel, Porson, Clariel, Golden Hand, and Terciel and Eleanor. So the plot. Okay, before I get into the plot introduction, I went looking for this book in audio format just because I wanted to read it again and or listen. Actually, I prefer listening to books these days with the Parkinson's and everything. But anyways, the first three books were narrated by none other than Tim Curry. So as soon as I realized that who who was reading the books, the first three books, is like, oh my god, it's freaking Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's freaking amazing. So I really geeked out over that. Anyways, the plot intro is the novel is set in two neighboring fictional countries. To the south lies Excelsior, which has a technology level and society similar to that of the early 20th century. To the north lies the Old Kingdom, where there exist two oppositional forms of magic: free magic, which is malevolent, and charter magic, which is benevolent. The existence of this is officially denied by the government of Excelsior and disbelieved by most of Excelsior's inhabitants. Yet an ancient wall separates the two countries. On the south side lies the Excelsior government maintains, despite its official denial of magic, military posts whose purpose is to monitor and combat hostile free magic beings in the effects of free magic that cross the wall. Now, the border has some magic. Near the border, some magic crosses the wall, especially on days when the wind is blowing out of the Old Kingdom, since the fall 200 years previously of the Old Kingdom's royal family, which was charged with preserving the charter. The integrity of charter magic has declined, allowing hostile entities to roam, ranging from the animated dead to powerful free magic necromancers and free magic elementals. These living dead are raised by the free magic necromancers, diviners of the dead who roam the the old kingdom or live in death using hands to do their bidding. To remedy the problem of dangerous living dead, a charter magic necromancer under the title of Porson invokes charter magic using a bandolier of bells and a sword to put the dead to final rest. At the time of Sabriel, the person is her father, Tertiel, who has the job of putting the dead to rest in the Old Kingdom, which is especially difficult since a new evil is rising as the protection of charter magic weakens. When the current when the current person is overcome by a free magic being and sent beyond the seventh gate of death, he sends his spells, the primary tools of a necromancer, used in various ways to control the dead, and sword to Sabriel via an undead messenger bound and under his control. Sabriel is at an ancestor school for girls to remain out of reach by those who might try to strike at her father through her in the porcelain bloodline. The bound dead is also attempting to speak, but she must enter death in order to make out the words. She is instructed by her father, speaking through the undead messenger in death, to return to the old kingdom to take on the role of a porcelain and stop the return of Karagor, an especially malign free magic being to life. While in death, obtaining her father's guidance, she narrowly avoids a fatal altercation with a lesser dead. So that's the plot intro for you. Uh, okay, I'll go over the plot summary here. Now the thing about this particular series and how Garth Nix worked the necromancers using bells and music to bind and or raise the dead, controls and banish, put to rest. It's very unique because there are 7 bells in all, ranging from one the size of a pillbox to one the size of to the biggest bell the size of one's fist. Which I find very interesting. It's not like, oh, necromancer. You hear necromancer, you think spell book and spoken word. It's it's the magic system in this particular series is all like, for the benevolent side of it, it's all character based off of symbols known as the charter. So I found that very refreshing and very unique. He's probably the only one who's ever done something like that, as far as I know. Now the book opens with Sabriel raising a freshly killed rabbit from death. She's a young girl attending Waverly College, an all-female boarding school in Excelsior. An undead creature enters the dormitory where Sabriel lives and frightens all the girls. Sabriel, however, notices it is holding a satchel and is attempting to speak. She enters death and notices the strings attached to it, passing over the waterfall of the first gate. A sign the creature is under the control of a necromancer further in death. It's very weak. Sabriel makes out that the messenger is bound by her father, who is past the seventh gate with death. She is instructed by her father through the messenger that she is to take on the role of a horseman and defeat Karagor, a powerful free magic necromancer who is attempting to make his way back to life to break the charter which binds the free magic and thus destroy the charter of the old kingdom. She retrieves the satchel which contains the portion spandelier bells, the portion sword, and a map of the old kingdom. Leaving the school, she crosses the wall using papers given to her by her father. Her destination is the Portson's house, the home of the Portsons, thus including her father. And near the wall, she meets a Southern colonel and his troops. The soldiers are using brute force to stop hordes of shadow hands from dismantling the wall, crossing over. The areas near the wall are being evacuated, and only those who are inhabitants of the Old Kingdom are allowed to cross. Okay, shadow hands are kind of like your basic zombie. I believe they are actually intangible in form. They're they're kind of incorporeal, but they're also corporeal at the same time. It's kind of funky. There's hands, and then there's shadow hands. The only way to you can kill a regular hand, which is pretty much a just a regular zombie that was raised from the dead by setting it on fire and using silver and or spell blade for rendering flesh and whatnot. So that's kind of the interesting thing about those particular creatures. So as she continues her journey, Sabriel becomes aware that she is being stalked by Mordecant, a powerful dead creature. She is able to outrun the creature and reach the safety of the Porson's house, which is located on an island in the center of the river. The dead cannot cross fast and deep running water. So that's pretty constant between from all necromancer lore and whatnot. So there you go. Anyways, inside of Porson's house, April is able to rest, obtain food, and other supplies as well as armor. She meets Mogget. I love Mogget, a free magic construct who takes the form of a small white cat wearing a collar with a powerful binding spell on it and a miniature serenet hanging from it. That's the first spell that caused. It's one not the first spell, but it's one of the bells of the Porcelain Seven, necromantic bells. August insists on accompanying her on her journey to find her father. Later, they look out over the walls surrounding the house and discover the dead attempting to build a bridge. Sabriel performs a ritual to summon a flood of water and then flees the house by Paperwing, a magically propelled plane like structure that's made out of paper, laminated paper of all things. I and spelled in its semi conscious. It kind of has a mind of its own. I can't remember the exact term for that. But anyways, while in the air, Sabriel and Mogget are attacked by the dead, and Sabriel loosens Mogget's collar to avoid a fatal crash. They they fall into a sinkhole where Mogget, is, in his unbound form, attempts to murder Sabriel. However, she is able to bind him anew with a ring given to her for that purpose. The next day, Sabriel and Mogget walk through a tunnel to another sinkhole, which Mogget determines to be Whole Hollow, the historical burial place of the royal family. Each king is buried in a boat. Sabriel discovers that the figurehead on one of the boats is not a wooden carving of it, but an actual man who has been imprisoned in that form for 200 years. The man tells Sabriel that he was a royal guard before his imprisonment and asks to be called Touchstone, a jester's name, for reasons that remain cryptic. Sabriel, Touchstone, and Mogget continue the journey, stopping to help a seaside village of a dead creature to help rid a seaside village of a dead creature. They obtain a boat and sail up the coast of the Old Kingdom until they reach Belissaire, the capital. They find the person in an underground reservoir in Belisare, trapped in death. Since he stayed too long in death, he cannot return for long. But with what little time he has left, the person tells Sabriel about the evil known as Karagor. Karagor has risen far from death and intends to wreak havoc in the old wreak havoc in the old kingdom and in Excelsior. Sabriel releases her father from death, and once they emerge from death, father and daughter delay Karagor's havoc, and she to save Touchstone by bringing him and herself as far away from Asteriel's music. That's the final bell. Any who hear it automatically pretty well die and go beyond the final gate of death. To prevent him from losing to death, she kisses him roughly in order to keep him focused on life. In the process of ringing Asteriel, Sabriel's father releases Mogget. They succeed, but as long as Karagor's body is intact, he will rise from death again and again and again. Sabriel and Touchstone use another paper wing to bring them as close to the wall as possible and cross over to Excelsior to find Karagor's body, following the clairvoyant guidance of the Claire twins, Sinar and Rael. Okay, the Claire are like seers, fortune tellers. They see all for the most part. They do have limits. They don't actually see when, but they can guess the time, when and where's from what they see, and their visions are not always perfect, and sometimes details escape them. But anyways, okay, I lost my place. Okay, they find the body, and Sabriel finally defeats Karagor by binding him with Rana and Mogget's collar. Rana is the I think it's one of the bells of the horseman. I think it's the one that actually causes sleep. But anyways, I digress. She dies, but the previous horseman prevents her from crossing into the final death, as she cannot die without someone else to take her place as a porcelain. She wakes up with Touchstone before and both Mogget and Karagor asleep, found by Rana, the first of the seven necromantic spells that instill sleep and quiescence in those who hear it. Yes, I was right. Sleep, and it pretty much instills sleep, and it's the first spell. Okay, there's several bloodlines in this story. Nine bright shiners. That's the seven of which the necromantic bells are named after. Two, one was two fought. I can't remember, but two of the nine bright shiners fought. One of them was you'll find out if you read through the series. It's very exciting. I promise you. There's the royal family, as I kind of went over, the Claire, the seers, the fortune tellers, the wall makers. That's an interesting one. Okay, and the Horsons. The Horsons, the Claire, and the royal family and wall makers are all pretty much related to one another by blood and distant family relations, as well as by the charter. The book explains it better. You really have to read the book and read the series and or listen to the series to get the full picture everything I'm going over. Anyways, yeah, like I said, I was surprised to find the first 3 books narrated by Tim Curry. It he did an amazing job with the reading. So yeah, I highly encourage those of you who enjoy fantasy novels like this to actually read the series or listen to the audiobook, whichever you prefer. It really is worth it. Garth Nix is an amazing, amazing, amazing writer. Anyways, this is yes, farewell, farewell, farewell indeed. Dracula Little Dragon outro for now.
Bye, Bobby. Do